So somebody pointed out to me recently that my cost of living in Idaho video might be a little bit outdated. So jumped on my channel, took a look, and yeah, it's a little outdated. So today we are going to talk about the cost of living in North Idaho going into 2023. And believe me, they've changed a lot. Stick around. Hello and welcome to another episode of Living Life in North Idaho. My name is Trent and I've been in this area for 30 years. So if you are wondering what it's like to live, eat, work, play, buy real estate here in Idaho, then this is definitely the channel for you. Make sure you tap the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so every time I come out with a new video, you are getting notified. And guys, every single day I'm getting calls, texts, and emails from people just like you that have been watching the channel and they're serious about getting moved to Idaho, or maybe they just need a little bit more information before they make the decision. We absolutely love it. So if this is you, reach out with a phone call, text, or email. My team and I love helping good people get moved to this area in the world. We've been here a long time and we absolutely love it. All right, so let's talk about the cost of living in Idaho going into 2023. I mean, I honestly, watching my last video on the cost of living, my eyes got so big. I was like, wow, a lot has changed in about a year. And you guys know that. You're probably feeling it in your wallets and you're probably wondering, man, can I even still afford to live in Idaho? Well, that's why we're gonna talk about this so that you can make that decision. All right, so let's talk about the median home price. I know in previous videos where I've done the cost of living, I've covered town by town. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. It ends up being just a lot more work. So let's talk about Kootenai County. That includes Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, Rathdrum, Athol, Spirit Lake, Hayden, Dalton Gardens. The median home price right now is about $571,000 for that area. Now you get up into Sandpoint, it's gonna be a little bit higher. It's gonna be over the sixes up there. Down in McCall, Idaho, which is gorgeous, you're looking at $715,000 for median home. And then down in Boise, it's a little bit over $500,000 for the median home price. So I asked my good friend Janie Kinzer, who's a really good lender that I like to refer. I asked her to drop some numbers based on that median home price of $571, what people could expect for a monthly payment. Now, this isn't including home insurance or private mortgage insurance. This is just the principal and interest. So with a 6.5% average interest rate, which is today's interest rate, 5% down, you're looking at about $3,800. Now, again, that does not include some of the other factors, so don't think that that's the price. But if you put more down, obviously it's gonna be a lower price because you have that private mortgage insurance. So the only way to get rid of that is to have 20% down, or to go with like a VA loan, which is not gonna have any private mortgage insurance. So yeah, compared to the last video I did where I think I said it was like $1,900 or $1,700 for the median home price based on a 2.5% interest rate, it's gone up a lot. It's kind of astounding actually that given just over a year, the prices have gone up so much, but this is the reality we're in and that's why we're talking about it. Okay, so if you're still with me, you haven't passed out after hearing that mortgage rate, let's talk about the fuel costs here in Idaho. Now, there are some spots in Idaho that you can walk mostly to get your groceries and go to stores and things. It's mostly like downtown Coeur d'Alene, downtown Boise, downtown McCall, or downtown Sandpoint. But for the most part, you need a vehicle. You are probably going to be driving, especially if you're still in your working years, you're going to be driving to your job. So right now, most people average about 1,500 miles per month. And at our gas price of $4.28 on average, with a car that gets about 21 miles per gallon, you can expect about $305 per month for your fuel. So not as bad as some places like California and New York, but it's definitely something that you need to consider in the cost, especially since the last video or it was like $2.30 per gallon. All right, so let's talk about the next staple bill that nobody can ever get rid of: your gas, your electric, and your water utility bills. Well, the good news is that those have not gone up significantly with all of this inflation we're dealing with. They've stayed pretty consistent, and we are still amongst the lowest cost in the nation. According to betterplaces.net, the average cost is about $279 per month, which is very low compared to the rest of the country. So we've got that going for us. Now, another factor that I like to look at, because I do like to go and eat out, I like to take my family out to eat. I like to have a burger every now and again. And after traveling to places like New York and San Diego and Scottsdale, Seattle, Portland this summer, I can tell you that our prices of eating out are pretty good, especially considering the quality that you get. We have some really good farm-to-table places here, the Garnet Cafe. Down in Boise, they've got some excellent restaurants down there. Now, when I go out to eat, I am 6'3", 220 pounds. I know a lot of people, when they meet me, they go, "You don't look very tall in your video." So there it is. I'm about 6'3", 220 pounds. So when I go out to eat, I eat a lot. And typically when I eat to get full, it's about $20 here in North Idaho for me to get a good meal and get nice and full. Now, if I'm just eating something light, it's about $12, $15. When I take the whole family out, that is when I feel it, because they like to get sodas and appetizers and things. It's about $150 for my 4 kids and my wife and I to eat. So it is something that you need to consider, but compared to some of these bigger places, the bigger cities, I think it's pretty affordable. Next big thing that we need to look at is the taxes. Luckily, the taxes have not changed. So Idaho does have an income tax. It's 1 to 6.5%, and it's a graduated tax. So the more you make, the higher it goes. And yes, I know it's kind of a bummer for people who live in Washington and they don't have an income tax, but overall, I feel that the taxes are quite a bit lower in Idaho, especially when you look at the property tax. So going on to property taxes, you have an urban average and you have a rural average. Now, there is no absolute average for property tax. You have to look at each property and the city will tell you what it is. There is a typical urban and rural, but of course, if you get into some higher end areas, or even down in Boise, they have a little bit higher tax rate, and it shows. The streets are a lot nicer. They have a lot nicer street signs. They have nicer schools. But yeah, for a lot of people, they don't want to pay that higher tax. So for urban tax, the average urban property tax is 1.043. And then for the rural property tax, it's 0.698. Now, an important factor to look at with the property tax is if it's your primary residence, you get an exemption. And that exemption still continues to get voted in, and it's $125,000 off of the value of your house. So property taxes, no one ever complains up here because they are so stinking low, especially compared to Washington, California, Oregon. They can get real high over there. So property taxes definitely make it way more affordable if you do live here and own a home. And then the other factor is sales tax. I know our neighbors over in Montana, they don't have a sales tax, which is pretty awesome. Here, 6% on everything except for the labor when a service is being performed. So if you have a company come out, fix your HVAC system, all of the labor will not have a tax on it, but everything else does have a tax. So I always look at it as each state is going to get their tax revenue one way or another. And luckily we keep the sales tax nice and low compared to Washington, where it can be 9% in some areas. It's just 6%. And then the income tax is low for low income earners. And obviously, cost of living is not just about what goes out, but also what comes in. And the good news is that Idaho, the income is going up for most jobs. I'm seeing signs for Zips where they're offering 16 to 18 bucks an hour to flip burgers. Now, is this a good sign? No, I don't think a burger flipper should be making $18 an hour, but it does show that even though the prices are going up, so is the income, so it makes it a little bit more affordable for people to live here. But overall, according to betterplaces.net, we rank at about 105 out of a baseline 100, which is the average for the country. So Idaho has moved into that area where it's a little more expensive to live here compared to a lot of the other areas. But when you look at some of these other areas, the crime, the fecal matter that's on the sidewalks, the drug use, just the craziness that's going on in some of the other places in the country, you do not see that happening here in Idaho. So to me, I always look at price based on value, and I still think the value is way above what the price is to live here in Idaho. But that's up for you guys to decide. I'm just here to report this is what it costs to live here in Idaho, and let you guys make that decision if this is something that you can afford to do. So guys, that is it. That is the cost of living update going into 2023 for here in Idaho. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section letting me know if you're taken back by all of the price jumps or if this is something that you kind of expected. It almost seemed like somebody who was in office a while ago called this happening, where prices would go soaring and we'd have supply chain issues.
Do you want to use the word recession or depression?
Kind of weird how that works, but yeah, this is the reality we're in. When I look at prices, I always try to decide value versus the cost, and I still think the value is really high, but that's for you guys to decide. So make sure you subscribe, tap the notification bell, and as always, if you are serious about getting moved to Idaho, reach out to me and my team at the number or email address listed below. Day, nights, weekends, it does not matter. Until the next one, I'll see you guys later.